Hello and welcome back to the Daily Pilgrim channel. This is episode 2 of the famous podcast. Now, do remember, this is for nostalgia. It was 18 months ago, and I just started on my journey. I built the little recording studio, and I went off to North Wales, campsite just along from a place called Hen's Tent in Llanninog. I think I pronounced that correctly. The recording was done on the H6, not the proper podcaster unit, so there's no music or anything like that. I was literally in the middle of a field. It was quite an adventure. So remember, this is part 2, and the first 3 parts sort of come together for the little mini story, and then the rest sort of drivels on into oblivion with the other sort of 30 episodes or what have you. So this is episode 2. I hope you enjoy it.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Pilgrim podcast with me, your host, Alex, once again. Today, however, I'm not coming to you from the cupboard under the stairs. I'm in fact coming to you from a camper van in a field in Wales. North Wales, to be precise, just outside Oswestry, and I really needed a short break, so I thought I'd come away, and I'm absolutely amazed that since I've been away, I've sat at the campsite, I've edited 4 videos ready for upload. I thought I'd sit and do this podcast, although it is on the H6, not on the pod track, so there's no music, sorry about that. Now, it's Loneliness Awareness Week, so I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But also, lots of rather amusing things, as you would probably expect, did happen to me on my way here. First, just a very quick word about Loneliness Week. Now, I didn't even know this was a thing until a week ago. But then I'm not really that up on these sorts of things anyway, as in, when you have a week for this or a day for that. But I actually was quite taken back with this because I myself went through loneliness as a result of the breakup and rediscovering who I was, or should I say recreating who I wanted to be. All of that came with a patch of loneliness. And I really do feel, on a very serious note, for anyone that is lonely or they're suffering with loneliness on any level. And sometimes it can be the person that, they look all right on the outside. They're bubbly and they're fun, and do you know what? Absolutely everything about them says, here is a very, very happy person. But maybe inside there's a bit of hurt and a bit of pain, and maybe, even though the room is crowded, maybe they are lonely in the old crowded room, as they say. So just take a moment, everyone, and if someone you know is lonely, and this isn't trying to be silly, but very serious, if someone you know is suffering with loneliness, go and buy them a cup of coffee or something. Just let them know you care. Because really, as human beings, never mind, as a person of faith or, even, true-born Englishman or anything like that, just as a human being, we really should look after each other. So I don't want to drone on, even though it is something very, very important. If someone out there needs a chat, I would say needs a hug, but of course that's a bit of a bone of contention at the moment. But if somebody needs a chat and a coffee, go and give it to them. So, funny things that happened to me on my way here. Oh gosh, where to start? Well, first of all, the place that I was going to stay on my first night of my little trip fell through. Now, I understand the reasons and all of that, but it fell through. So I didn't book anything else, and I went to see my children at my ex-wife's house, and I didn't leave hers until about 9 o'clock at night. It was far too late to go and check into a campsite anywhere. So what I did is I thought I'd do some stealth camping. I do like stealth camping, in as much as I really don't like stealth camping. I don't think it's particularly enjoyable. I don't think it's relaxing. I think you're on tenterhooks the whole time. There's no facilities, nowhere even to have a wee, to be perfectly crude about it. You need to take matters into your own hands, and perhaps, and no, that wasn't a rude cliche, you most certainly, however, need to, how can I put this, go back to nature. And I'm not a huge fan of that. Well, maybe I am, but irrespective, the point that I'm making, I'm really getting to, is I don't like sleeping in a blasted lay-by. It's uncomfortable, it's a bit miserable, you can't lay your stuff up, and you can't make yourself a cup of coffee in the morning. So, I did have to stealth camp, so we have to make the best of a bad job, I always think. I always go for lay-bys where there are truck drivers. And the reason for this is very simple. Safety in numbers, yes, but also if the local constabulary or council employees were to come knocking round the doors saying, "You can't sleep here, sir," they'd have to deal with 3 or 4 angry truckers as well. And I have a feeling that safety in numbers would take on a whole new meaning. Also, if anybody did attack you, if there's other people around you, there's somebody to ask for help. It got to about 10:30, and I hadn't found anywhere to pull up. I found several places that I pulled into that weren't quite right, and then I just kept going, and eventually I found somewhere. I'd like to pretend that there's an exciting story about the stealth itself, but the honest truth is, the actual going to sleep was quite easy. I just laid the seat back in one of the back seats down, turned it into a bed, and I slept through until about 5:30 the next morning. When I woke up, oh my word. I do not like sleeping in lay-bys because when you wake up, you do need a wee. And then, after that, you've got the fact that you've no wash facilities, so you're trying to take a bottle of water and basically splash it over your hair to put it in some sort of sense of straightness. And also, you've got terribly sticky eyes, so you want to just have a wash, so bottle of water will do sort of thing. That is assuming that you had the brains to bring one with you. I didn't. I'll fully admit, I completely forgot that particular provision. So I was sticky and horrible, and I had to go off in search of somewhere to purchase a bottle of water, so I could throw it over myself. Now, that again is quite interesting, because that's what I was doing on Sunday when I went boating. It was so hot, and I was throwing buckets of water, well, all right, not buckets, maybe glasses, but, let's not exaggerate, glasses of water over me all day. And no sooner would I throw the cold water all over me, 5 minutes later, my clothes and me were bone dry again. It was so hot, it was just evaporating off. The last splash of the day, I decided to lean over the side of the boat, because I didn't want to get my clothes wet again. It was getting late in the day. And as I did, I'm afraid to say, I forgot I was wearing my glasses. Now, previous occasions, when I've splashed myself with water and forgotten I was wearing my glasses, merely resulted in the glasses having water streaming down them. It was jolly and fun, and everybody laughed. Ha, ha, ha. However, on this occasion, that's not what happened. I leant over the side of the boat. I threw the water over myself and gave myself a good ablution and splash all over my face. And yes, you've guessed it, I knocked my own glasses off my face and they went straight into the canal. Now, the person I was with said, "Do you need them for much?" And I said, "No, not much. Just reading, using the computer, driving, seeing everywhere." And he said, so you can do without them then?" It was a good job I had a lift to the boat that day, because if I hadn't, I would have needed somebody to rescue me with a pair of glasses, because I couldn't even see the blasted car, let alone to drive it. Well, no, that's not true. I could see the car from the outside. It's just when I would get into it, I wouldn't be able to read the speedometer, see which controls were which, or basically see anything out of the window. I do have quite bad eyesight. So, back to the stealth, because I digressed a little there. After I'd woken up from the stealth camp and went off in search of a bottle of water, which I did find, I splashed and ablutioned myself, had 2 rather lovely cups of coffee. There was a slight incident in Starbucks car park where 5 youths in a blacked-out Ford Fiesta slammed their doors into the side of the camper van and really didn't see what my problem was when I went to check if they'd done any damage. I, however, did have a problem. I quite liked the camper van. It might not be mine, but it's still a very happy place, and I have just a belief that you should look after things, whether they belong to other people or not. So I wasn't very pleased with these 5 youths. However, let us not get sidetracked. I carried on the stealth. I carried on after the stealth, and I went on my way into North Wales. I found the campsite quite early, Now, check-in time was midday, and it did say, please don't arrive early, we won't be ready for you. So the fact that it was now only 8 o'clock in the morning, I had a bit of time to kill. So I drove past, and I went out into the national park area, the Snowdonia National Park. And whilst there, I tried to set the camera up, and I had more blooper footage than anything else. I was trying to make the statement, look how beautiful and how peaceful this is, we could be anywhere. I was trying to say that several times, and every time I did, a car went past. The length of this blasted road you could see for miles in both directions, and every time that I set the camera back up, pressed record and went to do another take, a Lamborghini or a Ford Fiesta or something that was just revving absolutely blasted heavily, or maybe it was just a van or a lorry that was just irritating me, whatever it was, there was another road vehicle coming along. And let's just say that by the end of it, I'd had enough. So I came to the campsite and I set up. I was virtually the only person here. Now, I wasn't going to leave the site at all once I was here, but actually, now I am here, I have decided that there isn't really enough to occupy my time, my podcasting, my videos. I am going to have to go out today. But that's another thing. Now, other interesting and amusing things that have happened to me, well, there have been so many. May I invite you, if you don't mind, to go across to dailypilgrim.com, the website, and on there you will see a link to the YouTube channel as well. So please do subscribe on there as well. But this is where all my videos tend to be. Now, I do realise that a podcast doesn't have the ability to cast video, which is why I've got both. So, I am about to go off on yet another adventure, and this podcast shortly comes to a bit of a close. I realise it's not been the most exciting of podcasts, and it was only a few humorous things that I threw in there. However, as I've said, today is coming to you from the middle of a field. So it's not quite the usual calibre, and I do apologise profusely. I hope this will keep you entertained enough until next Friday, when the next episode will be released. And as Jeremy Clarkson once said, you can stand around for hours waiting for a cat just to accidentally drop into the waste disposal unit and you can make a video of it, or you can get a cat, set the video up, and take matters into your own hands. So I'm sure that during the next week I will engineer some things of humour should they not happen to me automatically. But I have a sneaky feeling that with the way my life goes, something will happen quite naturally. So I'd just like to say thank you very much indeed for listening. Apologies, there's no outro music once again, but I will say thank you for listening. Bye-bye for now, and see you on the next one. Thanks again.